last week we made this. It's a clip-on phone trigger that would help you dominate FPS shooter games and battle royale games. It also works really well with PUBG Mobile. But the problem was, not everyone had 3D printers at their own homes. That's why in this week's weekend project, we're going to make a pair of these overkill clip-on phone triggers. But this time, we'll be using some office supplies that you most probably have lying around. Here are the things that you will need. First, you'll need a roll of double-sided padding tape. You'll also need a roll of the regular double-sided tape. And for the main component of this project, you'll need a kitchen wrap tin foil. Next, you'll need a card that's made out of plastic. Old credit cards would also work. Next, you'll need a bottle of super glue and a cutter knife. You'll also need 2 to 4 pieces of wooden popsicle sticks. You could also add 2 heat shrink tubings, a pair of shears, and a pair of pliers. Now let's make some homebrew aluminum tape. For the past video, people were commenting for an alternative for aluminum tape. You could easily make one by tearing a sheet of tin foil. Use a card to smoothen it, then grab a roll of your double-sided tape. Then put a strip of the tape on top of the aluminum sheet. Using your card, smoothen it again. Do it until the wrinkles disappear. Then use your cutter knife and your ruler to remove the excess sheets of aluminum. Do this for the 4 corners. And there you have it, a homemade strip of aluminum tape made from tin foil and double-sided tape. Now we can begin. Grab a stick of popsicle stick. Then use a ruler and a marker to write down 3 dots with intervals of 40 millimeters. Put your ruler on top of the popsicle stick to write down lines perpendicular to the cutting board. Using a pair of shears, carefully cut down the popsicle sticks into pieces. Just be careful not to make them crack. Now you have 2 of these 40mm long popsicle sticks. Using a bottle of super glue, pour glue on top of the first stick, then mash them together like a sandwich. Also, reinforce the sides by adding more glue, and wait for it to dry.
A few moments later.
I'm going to teach you a little life hack. Apparently, one of the most boring things in this project is when you wait for the super glue to dry, and it takes a bit of a time to cure. Luckily, baking soda, which you can find in your mom's kitchen, is an accelerant in curing super glue. If ever you have a wet surface on the thing that you're trying to glue, just sprinkle a bit of baking soda and that's where the magic will happen. In about 5 seconds, the super glue would dry out and harden completely.
Baking soda! I got baking soda!
Let's get back to the project. Grab another popsicle stick and using a ruler and your marker, write down a dot 35mm away from the edge. Then draw another perpendicular line. Rotate your popsicle stick to the other side, then again write down a dot, but this time it's 23mm away from the edge. Then write another perpendicular line. Now your popsicle stick should have 2 lines. Using your shears, carefully cut them down again. Take your time and do this slowly. You don't want your popsicle sticks to crack down into pieces. Now you have 2 sticks, one short and one tall. Grab the tall one and put super glue at the side of the flat edge. Then attach it at the back of the popsicle stick that you've sandwiched. Add more super glue to make it stronger. And like what I said, sprinkling baking soda would make super glue dry in just seconds. And the result speaks for itself. Rock hard super glue. Next, grab the shorter stick and glue it at the other side. Also make sure that they are perpendicular. And of course, more baking soda. Okay, I think that's too much. Grab your double-sided padding tape and put a strip of tape on top of the cutting board. Using your cutter knife, cut a small segment. Grab the strip that you've cut and put it at the side of the taller stick. We'll be using that as a cushion so that the clip won't fall off when it's being used. Grab another strip of tape and using a ruler and your cutting knife, cut down tiny squares of padding tape. After doing so, stack 2 of them together and cut it down into a smaller piece. We'll be using that as a contact point to the phone screen. So put it close to the top of the tip of the shorter popsicle stick. Then remove the plastic cover of the double-sided padding tape. Cut a small strip of aluminum from your homebrew aluminum tape, then wrap it around these areas. Scratching the surface would make it stick even better. If there are any excess, you can use your fingernails to tear off the excess pieces of aluminum. Using a pair of tweezers, carefully guide the end of the aluminum tape to the surface of the contact point. Now cut a rectangular piece of aluminum tape, then use it to cover the whole tape, and also add one on top. That's nice. Now I added a tube of heatshrink tubing to work as a cushion. This would prevent your phone from getting scratches when you put on a clip. Remember that tinfoil is made out of metal. That means no matter how soft it is, it could still scratch down glass. Now grab your plastic card and use your marker and the width of the popsicle stick as a guideline for using the cutter for cutting down the piece of plastic. Carefully bend a small portion of the card. Then bend the part after it. Use your hands to bend it even further, and you should be able to press it down smoothly. And if you cannot do it, bend it again so that the plastic would become softer. Afterwards, wrap the other surface with aluminum tape and cut down the excess using your shears. Then scratch the aluminum till the wrinkles come off. Cut super glue at the end of this part of the wood. Then attach your plastic trigger. Be sure to reinforce the edges with more super glue, and to make it dry even faster, add more
Baking soda! I got baking soda!
And there you have it, your very own pair of trigger buttons for playing Battle Royale FPS shooter games. If you want to see the 3D printed version, here's a link to my other tutorial.
If you liked my video, feel free to press the thumbs up button. Now if you want to see more of my upcoming projects, you could press the subscribe button to stay tuned. Once again, I'm Angelo. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Coming up next, we're going to make a phone case that would make your phone's camera more cinematic. A few months ago, we went to Europe, and I brought my project and my smartphone with me. I took a lot of pictures and clips with it. I was able to take shots I never knew I could even do before.